Alright, we got a iPod 4th generation. This iPod, it's got a cracked screen on it. The LCD screen's bad, and the home button doesn't work, which is the main problem for this user. Is you can see it's disabled and you can't re-enable it without a working power button. So we're going to replace the power button, flex, along with the volume buttons, and also put a new LCD screen on it and a piece of glass while we're working on it. So that's what we'll be doing. First thing we're going to do is heat up glass. You're just going to get it hot enough where it's hot to the touch, but not where to burn you. Just pry real gently right up under the bottom glass here. Try to get it started raising. And just tilt it up. You want to try to remove as much of it as you can as a unit. There's some adhesive on the side here you're going to have to work with. And right up here there's a Wi-Fi antenna. You're going to be careful not to pull the Wi-Fi antenna off when you're working on this. I'll try to zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about on this Wi-Fi antenna. I don't know if you can see that or not, but right back here, it's a Wi-Fi. It's a piece of flex. It's double-sided tape to the glass. So you just have to be real careful. You can see it there now. Alright, so we get that off. We've already unplugged the LCD screen here. It's kind of unplugged when we were prying off. And there's a piece of there's a metal bracket here that goes on your new LCD screen. So you need to make sure to save this and transfer that over. And we're also going to have to transfer the home button over. Now the digitizer plugs up underneath the motherboard, so we can't disconnect it now. We'll have to pull the backing plate, the mid plate off, in order to be able to pry the motherboard up to get the digitizer disconnected. And what I do, I've got a little magnet pad here. Whenever I pull my screws out, I always try to keep them laid out the way they came out of the device. That way it's a lot easier when you go to reassemble. I don't just put them all in one pile and then have to figure out later which screw goes where, because these iPods have several different screw sizes in them, and the screws need to go back in the same spot. There's a little piece of tape right here that sometimes gets in the way. If it's laid over top of the mid plate, usually I like to remove it. We're going to have to remove it later anyway, so if it'll come off easy now, we'll just go ahead and do that. Alright, so we got all the screws out of the mid plate. Now it's going to have some adhesive right in this area here on the back, and also the speaker assembly is, there's two-sided adhesive here. So we're going to heat this up, and whenever we start prying on this, you want to make sure you use a plastic pry tool. You don't want to use metal, because whenever you go up under here, there's connectors here on the motherboard that you can actually short out and damage the iPod. So what I like to do is go right over top of this flex here and try to pry right on top of that. And just kind of work my pry tool up gently. Alright, and then once that's broke loose, then I go to this side. And this side here, you can actually use a metal pry tool if you want to. So we have our mid plate up now. Alright, you can go ahead, and there's two screws here that I always like to remove. You can remove this screw and this screw here on the front camera, and it makes disconnecting the digitizer a lot easier. And if you were just replacing the LCD screen digitizer, this would be the way you would do it. There's a little clip here that goes over the back of the rear camera. There's a piece of copper adhesive here on top of the camera. I've ripped it off before, and it actually connects to the it's actually ripped already, I think. And then this here, you can just prise it straight up the rear camera, and it's actually connected to the back of the motherboard here. So, and actually this piece of copper that went to the rear camera actually goes here on the mid plate. It's just a ground. Again, usually I don't reinstall that. Never had a problem. Now the motherboard is kind of stuck down just a little bit. You have to be careful if you're just replacing the digitizer or LCD screen. Whenever you pry the motherboard up, the power flex, sometimes it'll actually be over top of the motherboard. When you pry this up, you damage this. So this one, it doesn't really matter because we're going to replace it anyway. So you want to get this right here, just started prizing up here in this area. Whenever you try to come up with it, it's going to it's back behind this little plastic piece a little bit, so you kind of want to come up with it and come over. And the front camera also has some adhesive on it. You might have to just pry it up just a little bit. Be careful not to damage the flex on the back of it. Alright, so then we've got it up. You got it up at an angle. You want to be careful not putting any pressure on this side if you're not replacing the volume flex, the volume and power flex, because this is where it comes in and it's really easy to damage here. There's a piece of copper tape on on this connector that you have to pull off. Again, I never reinstall this. So you just want to get that off the motherboard, and then you can push down and the screen is now released. So since we are going to replace the flex, we'll go ahead and desolder it. It solders here. There's just like some silicone adhesive on top of the connectors. And also usually there's some silicone in this area here on top of the battery. The battery is going to have to be disconnected. So that's where we're going to start. So we get power off of the motherboard. Right now we still have power on the motherboard. There's 3 connectors on the battery. Trying to get my gun up to heat here. I'm just going to put some new solder on there. Again, there's like a coating of silicone that Apple puts on here, and that's to keep it from shorting out if something got on top of it. So sometimes it's aggravating to get through that. Put a little flux on here. Should have done it to start with. So we got the battery disconnected. We'll clean all this up later. Alright, so we're just going to come around up here. And again, you can really cut this since we're going to replace it, but it's got to come off. We'll go ahead and do it. And whenever you're desoldering this, you want to be really careful. There's a lot of components in here. You want to make sure you don't get on top of those components. Alright, so got that removed. With that being removed, the top of the motherboard now will come loose, other than this Wi-Fi antenna. And what I like to do is just come in here, and it's just got a plug on it. Just pull that off there. So we got the top of the motherboard loose now. Whenever we were prying the back and the mid plate off, this speaker assembly came loose, which is a good thing because we need to remove that also. Just pry that up out of the way. It's got 2 wires on it that connect to the motherboard, and it's going to come out with the motherboard. We've got the earphone assembly. There's a screw at the bottom of it here. sometimes this screw can be a little tricky to get out because the motherboard is actually in the way. Alright. And then we'll gently pry up here. And we're going to just kind of pull it out from the iPod. It's going to touch on the bottom of the motherboard, so it's a little stubborn sometimes to get out. It's going to have to wrestle it back and forth sometimes. It should come out fairly easy. Unless you're shooting a video, and then it don't want to come out. Alright. So we have everything out now. Right down here at the bottom of the motherboard, there's some adhesive on the back side that sticks it to the actual back of the frame. So what we need to do is put heat on it. I usually heat back here. Get this area here pretty hot, and then I'll take something and come in and just put a little bit of pressure on the charging port, an upward motion, and usually I can get the motherboard out without having to pull the battery out. Alright, so I got it pretty toasty there. I'm going to get my motherboard here. You want to be real careful in this area right here. You'll break the motherboard if you're not really careful. And I just put just a little bit of upward motion on the charging port. Just kind of rock it just a little bit, being careful in this area here. I'm going to put just a little bit more heat on it. When you come up to this charging port, you don't want to keep pushing on it. You just want to make sure you got heat on it. And just put just a little bit of pressure. What it's doing is it's coming up and hitting the battery, so that's the reason you kind of have to work it back and forth. There we go. So now we've got that out, we can actually start working on replacing the flex cable. You're going to have 2 screws on this side, actually 3 I believe, maybe just 2. You have this little cover that comes off. You'll have 2 at the top. One of them is going to be actually got to fold the cable down to see it. here. Alright. With the new flex, we'll have to transfer this metal bracket over. And this thing's just got double-sided adhesive holding it down, and there's also a bracket right here that we've got to get out because we've got to transfer that over as well to the, get out of the way. We've got to transfer the flex over to that as well. So you don't want to bend it up too bad when you're removing it. Alright. Actually, maybe the new flex comes with this. I can't remember. Each device is different. I haven't worked on one of these in a while. Most people don't want to repair them now. So we're ready to reinstall the new flex cable. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Alright, we're back here. I took a break there. I went ahead and cleaned the frame up. Put some new adhesive on the frame so that whenever I get everything back together, I'll be ready to put the screen in. I also cleaned the all the solder connectors up where I put the excess solder on to remove the factory solder, and I also put the bracket, the metal bracket on the back of the LCD screen. Everything else I'm gonna try to show you guys as I'm going along. I didn't figure you really wanted to watch me clean the frame, so anyways, this is the new flex. This one actually doesn't have a metal bracket on the back. This is a aftermarket flex, and it's got like a piece of fiberglass or plastic on the back. So we're going to start with the volume side. And usually I use a stereoscope whenever I'm installing this. Just want to get that lined up. Make sure all the holes line up. And you want to take the metal bracket that goes on that, install it back. There's 2 screws that go there. This third one here is actually, this one installs when the motherboard goes in. Once you get those in, you want to check to make sure the buttons feel proper. Make sure you can feel that piece working back and forth in there. Alright, on the top of the flex, we have to use the factory metal bracket that goes up there. So we're going to pull it off the old flex. Make sure you get all your old adhesive off. Two little mounting tabs here. Make sure you get that button lined up properly. I'll end up just wrapping around. There's two more tabs on the back. You want to make sure you get lined up properly. Okay. I'm not going to stick that yet. I want to make sure I get the home button in here. Now, a piece of adhesive I already got on here. Kind of goes down the area, which is fine. Might make it a little hard to see. The second screw goes right back on this piece of flex. Once you get that in place, make sure your button's working, and this one is working. Okay. This little copper piece really doesn't have to be here, but since it's here, I'm gonna leave it there. Alright. Now we're going to install the motherboard. Let's put it in, slide it all the way down. Speaker assembly. Kind of want to go into the angle. Make sure it actually, there's a notch on the back side. Pull it back out here. There's a notch on the back side here that goes in this hole. And it has to slide down over top of this, over top of the charging port. You should be able to feel it go in. Just like that one. It's got adhesive on the back. One thing I try to do is I try to keep as much of the original adhesive as I can. The original adhesive is really good quality and it's hard to replace. When I say hard to replace, it's hard to find something as good as what it is. Connector there. Right here, before we go much further, we need to hook up this Wi-Fi. What I like to do is take that screw out, bring this up here without pulling it all the way off. And connect it this way. Once I get in there, I'll just kind of work this cable back down in there, just like so. Alright, now let's put the digitizer on. I just line it up back there. Usually you can kind of feel whenever it lines up. Just being careful, put a little bit of pressure on the back side of it. Make sure it pops in the slot. Sometimes I can put some two-sided tape on the back of a screwdriver if I'm having trouble to kind of work it back and forth. Alright, so we're going to put that there for the time being. Put just a little bit of pressure on it. Make sure the camera's lined up. ahead and solder the power buttons on. Put just a little bit of flux on each one of the pads. Again, I cleaned these pads up just a few minutes ago. Same thing on the battery connector. Just gonna lay that over, make sure all of our pins line up with the solder pads. Trying to get that cable to hold down right now. Again, usually I'm using a stereoscope whenever I solder this. In fact, that's what we're going to do now. Hang on a second and I'll let you guys see what I'm seeing. Okay, here we are back now. You can see exactly what I'm seeing. You can see why I like to use stereoscope. First of all, my cable's not perfectly lined, but I'm close enough. Alright, so it's a lot easier whenever you got stereoscope to look, see what you're doing. We're going to go down, do the same thing. Battery. Very good. Alright. Now we've got that done. We should be able to hook up the I'll come back and clean this up just a minute. But we should be able to go ahead and plug the screen up. Very good. Check to make sure the digitizer is going to work. Make sure our volume buttons are going to work. Well, actually, we can't do that until reset the device. Alright, looks like the digitizers are working. I'm going to take this a little bit of acetone. Just going to clean some of that flux off. It's no clean flux I'm using, but I still like to get the worst of it off. Put the mid plate in. Again, I'm using the factory Apple adhesive here. Before we do that, let's go ahead and move the board and the camera. this clip here under my stereoscope and make sure I get that connected correctly. All it's doing is going down and hitting the board. It's one of Apple's not so good ideas. Alright. Here we go now. That's all good now. So go ahead and put the home button on. I'm going to use heat. A little bit of heat. Pull that off with. Hopefully that adhesive still be good. Just put a little pressure on it, pull it up. Try to make sure the adhesive comes with the rubber. The squared off end goes at the top. Whenever you put this in, a lot of people don't know to. If you fold this cable straight down, it's going to get in the back and your screen's not going to set flush. What it's supposed to do is do like a Z. It's supposed to fold once here, it folds again, and then it folds back up on itself. Let me see if I can turn this sideways, maybe you can see it better. So again, it would go down, back up, and then down, and fold up on itself. And that makes your screen set flush. If you're having problems with your screen not setting flush, the cable's probably coming down and coming in here, and it's getting hung on this bar, and it's pushing on the back of your LCD screen. So let's get everything ready. Check it one more time, make sure it's going to work. Once I know it's going to work, double check my cable back here. Snapper clip in from the top. Make sure that metal clip goes in. Make sure the screen's aligned. Come to the bottom, make sure the corners are going to go in, and put a little pressure and push it up. There it is. You can see the glass setting flush like it should. Now we'll reset it. Get this iPod is disabled message off, and be good to go back to the customer. Okay, iPod has been reset. Home button works, power button works, volume buttons. We're on Wi-Fi. Volume works. Looks like this thing's good to go. Cameras. Front. Good deal. We now have a working iPod 4th Gen with a replace screen, replace power and volume flex. Thanks for watching.